Is that clear enough for you? Is that clear enough for the world? Coming from the former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Olmert, the former Prime Minister of Israel from 2006 to 2009. I get that means that he's wrong on about 90% of things if he still thinks that Israel should be a brutal apartheid state. But it's one thing to hear these type of accusations coming from, I don't know, me or South Africa or various places. It's another when the people who have been stalwarts of defending this absolute genocide in Gaza are now turning. And I think it means a lot. This is his op-ed written in Haaretz, well-known Israeli newspaper. The government of Israel is currently waging a war without purpose, without goals or clear planning, and with no chance of success. Never since its establishment has the state of Israel waged such a war. The criminal gang headed by Benjamin Netanyahu, thank you for calling it a gang, finally. Why do we never say the Israeli regime? It's what they are. The criminal gang headed by Netanyahu has set a precedent without equal in Israel's history in this area too. And by the way, just to add to the fact that this is no crazy left-winger, in this article, I'm not going to read the sections, but in this article, he has various paragraphs about how hard those poor young men and women in the military are trying. He also criticizes some of them for war crimes, but at the same time, he's like, they don't know what to do and they're doing their best and all this stuff. And I'm like, I think they largely support genocide. So I don't know if those poor young men and women. Anyway, so this is, again, not a left-winger. Recent operations in Gaza have nothing to do with legitimate war goals. The government sends our soldiers and the military obeys to wander around Gaza City, Jabalia, Khan Yunis neighborhoods in an illegitimate military operation. This is now a private political war. Its immediate result is the transformation of Gaza into a humanitarian disaster area. And in case anyone needs reminding, well over 300,000 people have been killed in Gaza. And in fact, Trump actually admitted that the other day. I don't think he knows that he admitted it, but he said the population of Gaza now stands at 1.9 million. When Israel started this genocide, it was at 2.2 to 2.3 million. So Trump accidentally admitted that Israel has killed 300,000 people. Over the past year, harsh accusations were voiced worldwide against the Israeli government and its military's conduct in Gaza, including accusations of genocide and war crimes. In public debates in Israel and on the international arena, I've rejected such accusations firmly, though I didn't shrink from criticizing the government. So he's been steadily rejecting these claims of war crimes, claims of genocide. He's been very critical. And I think I covered an article from him like a year ago where he was very critical of Israel's aims, but he wouldn't call it a war crime. Quite often, I disappointed interviewers when I vehemently asserted that Israel wasn't committing war crimes in Gaza. Excessive killing happened, but I claimed firmly and with conviction, in no case did a government official give orders to hit Gazan civilians indiscriminately. The great number of innocent civilians killed in Gaza was hard to fathom, unjustified, unacceptable. But all, as I have said on every media outlet in the world, resulted from the vicious war. I took every available opportunity to distinguish between the crimes we have been accused of, which I refuse to admit, and the carelessness and indifference regarding Gaza victims. Basically, fog of war. They don't care much about civilians, but they don't mean to kill civilians. The first accusation I rejected, but the second one of being careless, I admitted to. In recent weeks, I've no longer been able to do so. What we are doing in Gaza now is a war of devastation, indiscriminate, limitless, cruel, and criminal killing of civilians. We're not doing this due to a loss of control in any specific sector, not due to some disproportionate outburst by some soldiers in some unit. Rather, it's the result of government policy, knowingly, evilly, maliciously, irresponsibly dictated. Yes, Israel is committing war crimes. Is that clear enough for you? Is that clear enough for the world? Coming from the former Prime Minister of Israel. First, starving out Gaza. Some of his lackeys, he says, are saying so outright in public, even with pride. Yes, we will starve out Gaza because all Gazans are Hamas. There's no moral or operational limitation on exterminating them all, over 2 million people, which is the definition of being genocidal. oh, I don't differentiate between those who are guilty or innocent. It's absolutely horrific. The sponsor for this video is Chapter, a free Medicare navigation and advice service. So if you're 65 or older, or your parents are, Chapter can really help you understand the 24,000 plans. Yes, there's 24,000 with Medicare, Medicare Advantage, and Medigap. 96% of people who use Chapter return to use it the next year. Seniors have historically saved over $1,000 a year using Chapter. Also, Chapter has a near perfect reviews online by those who have used it, and it's got an A+ with the Better Business Bureau, and it's free. So check out if Chapter's right for you or your parents. You can either go to askchapter.org/camp, my last name, or call 757-349-8232. All this info will also be in the description of this video. And did I mention it's free? Voices are already rising from Israel-friendly governments such as Canada, the UK, and France, calling for concrete measures against the government, though these could cause grievous harm to Israel. And I'm glad these governments are stepping up. It only took them a year and a half of genocide to start doing that, with some exceptions like Spain. But Macron suggested a review of the association. By the way, if you haven't seen the video of Macron getting slapped in the face by his wife, you should definitely check that out. It's very enjoyable to watch. Macron suggested a review of the association agreement between Israel and the European Union, a suggestion seconded by the prime ministers of Spain, Netherlands, and Italy. These latter two, unlike Macron, are both right-wing leaders and until recently had declined any move that could have embarrassed Israel. Israel's even losing right-wing countries, which is pretty amazing. These voices will grow. There's a risk that tangible punishment, oh, God forbid anybody be punished. That's not what he's saying. I'm just saying that, but will be directed at Israel beyond steps by the ICC at The Hague with lethal financial and diplomatic results. I don't think there's an actual risk that any of these people end up in The Hague because The Hague is pretty toothless unless you're a black leader. But yes, absolutely. I believe the government of Israel is now the enemy from within. It has declared war on the state and its inhabitants. No external foe we've fought against over the past 77 years has caused greater damage to Israel than what the Itamar Ben-Gvir, Netanyahu, and Bezalel Smotrich-led government has inflicted on us. No external foe managed to devastate the social solidarity that was the basis of Israel's society in all existential tests facing it since 1948, as the Netanyahu government has done and does. I mean, this is true. If you are someone who, quote unquote, supports Israel, if you want there to be an Israel, then you should also be opposed to this genocide, because this genocide it's eliminating the possibility of a continued Israel. Now, I don't think that a brutal apartheid regime should exist in that way. So, yeah, I'm not one of those people. But for those people who are like, oh, I want Israel to keep being a thing, then you should be opposed to this genocide, because it's not going to be soon. Anyway, Olmert continues, it cannot nor does it wish to do what is good for the country and its citizens. It's entirely preoccupied with destroying any basis for internal unity, for a cooperation between communities which may disagree over core issues. It's driven by some crazed enthusiasm to pit brother against brother, mother against children, soldiers against soldiers, punks and thugs against hostages and their families. It takes sadistic, sick, irresponsible, and merry joy in this, while, of course, failing to bring back the hostages. And his final sentence is, it's time to halt before we are all banished from the family of nations and are summoned to the ICC for war crimes with no good defense. Enough is enough. Have I mentioned this is the former prime minister of Israel? And how incredible is it that he can say this stuff and 99% of our federal politicians can't say it? Like, he was the former prime minister of Israel. What the is your excuse? Most of our Congress can't say what he's saying. Unbelievable that you can get this from the former prime minister of Israel, but you can't get it from almost the entirety of Congress. It's just incredible.